Hey there, if you're like me, you might have a loved one at home who is having some difficulty with their brain function. Maybe they're making some inappropriate choices, and for me, it's my dad. And what I decided to do was make a brain book for him. So here's my brain book for my dad, and it's a book of choices. So I'm going to walk you through the book that I made. I just drew it up this morning on a scrap piece of paper, and then pulled out the old markers and had some fun making the drawing. I'm going to send it along to my dad, who lives a few hours away, and my sister's going to go through it with him. So I'm going to go through the book with you, and hopefully you'll find some success too. What makes it a little more difficult with my dad is also he has traumatic brain injury from when he was a kid, when he was hit by a car. So along with some of that cognitive functioning that's been compromised, he also has some other issues as far as his frontal lobe, making decisions, getting a little angry at times, a little too quickly. So hoping this book will help him. All right, and I hope something like that helps you as well. Let's take a look at it. All right, so here's the brain book. I just did a quick little cover. Just stapled it. I just used some poster board. So what I thought I would do is visually show him how there's two different kinds of brains. There's a typical brain, and there's one also that suffered traumatic brain injury, which is really my dad. So it's something he's aware of, something we've talked about over the years. So, and I just put some pictures here just to show what a typical brain is like, manages emotions, finds calm within the storm, and some illustrations just to picture that. Typical brain's resilient, lets things roll off their back. People that have typical brains, of course, typical brain is subjective, so we're all in a different status. But so typical brain generally walks away from issues, finds mature solutions, and seeks the calm. So I just use colors red and blue mostly to signify typical or calm, and more of a red or anger or traumatic brain injury brain. Communicates respectfully and successfully. So once you can communicate respectfully, then you'll have more success with your interactions. So stuck that there. So traumatic brain injury brain, difficulty with emotional control, and intolerance for frustration, easily provoked. And then I just put some causes here so he knows it's not just from his accident when he was 5 years old, but it could be accidents, could be sports, could be violence, anything like that. Illness and surgery. I've had a student who's had surgery to treat epilepsy, and then it really impacted their frontal lobe function. So you can see I pulled a little Eric Carle type cutout there just to make it a little bit more fun. So I put down here, you can't choose your brain, but you can choose your actions. So the idea is with behavior, you want to give the person control over making the choices, making the appropriate choices themselves, not telling them what to do, but more or less this choice is his. So you can choose this or you can choose that. Obviously, when you're older, you can't necessarily make the choices very well sometimes, so but a little bit of help. So let's see, typically if you come across an issue, you can write about it. You can talk to others about it. You can talk to your family about it. You can talk to your spouse, loved one, someone you live with. I just put him here sitting on a bench in the park, kind of dealing with both of his emotions. You sleep much better. For him, it really interrupts his sleep a lot when he gets angry and agitated. Music, drawing, and then I just put a picture of a telephone. Something that he can relate to. He can pick up the phone, call his kids, talk to a grandkid. And then here's the brain, the red brain, the traumatic brain injury brain, one that's damaged or has some issues functioning. So driving angrily, that's something I worry about. Getting angry with someone. He's had issues where he's pushed people before. So I kind of wanted to put some pictures in here that he can relate to. There's the police officer, and there he is. He's had issues with law enforcement. Unfortunately, everything resolved fine, but so that's a picture he can relate to because he didn't like that at all. It's a little embarrassing. And then the sleep, of course, he finds himself up at night. So I just put his little Z's there in red in the garbage can as opposed to over here. So there's some comparisons between the two. There's the prison, jail. We don't want him to end up there by making these choices, inappropriate choices. So then I compared the pictures of his spouse over here. When he's yelling, she just looks a little sullen, a little sad, a little removed. When he's yelling and angry, his family, I just drew a little nut there. You know, I mean, we don't think he's nuts, but he'll find some humor in that because a lot of his behavior, he knows he's a little nutty sometimes. And then with others too. Others are like, oh, I don't know about this. So then he can think about it and he can write about it too. So again, just putting some pictures to some of these actions, which helps the processing, especially when you're having some issues thinking. And when you're in the moment, you know, the key is to not get here. The key is to do this stuff before you get there. So we'll be emphasizing that with him. So this is the last page, just in completion. Choose your actions. So it really gives him a choice to decide if he wants to have a calm brain or if he wants to be irrational and be angry, which I know he doesn't like, and create a plan. So keep your brain calm, and then over here, stop, think, plan, act, or in some cases, don't act. And then kind of an if and then, which is something we use with students sometimes. If this happens, then I'll do this other thing. So it may be just putting it on index cards or little sticky notes, so coming up with some samples. And then I'll talking about what you won't do. I'll do this, but I'm not going to do that. So down here I made a little asterisk. I said, just in jest, place a senior citizen filter over the actions. And this demonstrates the further impact an older brain may have on choices being made. So what I did was I just took some cardboard and some wax paper, so it's like a filter. So you can see that when it's when your brain's a little older, you're losing some white matter, you're having some difficulty making decisions. When you put this over there, sometimes it's a little blurry or it's harder to see. So those decisions also are, sometimes you just need a little help. And that's what family, loved ones, friends, neighbors are for. So therapists, anybody working with somebody that has some issues like that. So that was pretty much it at the end. Yeah, and we'll just keep talking about it with my dad, and I hope maybe you can come up with some ideas for your loved one. And if you have some ideas, gosh, I'd love to hear them. Right, we gotta get through this. It hasn't been easy with the pandemic either, because all the things that he was able to do, whether it's going out for walks, or he liked to go watch the horses and place bets and things like that. It kept his mind really active, going out to eat, and so now he's just really limited. So he tends to stay home, and some of this bad stuff festers. So good luck.